So good evening, everyone. Bonsoir tout le monde. My name is Sonya Shorey. I have the privilege of serving as the Vice President, Strategy, Marketing and Communications for Invest Ottawa, lead economic development agency for our region for knowledge-based industries, and Bayview Yards, Ottawa's one-stop business acceleration shop. It is truly a pleasure to welcome you all here this evening for the official launch of the second annual International Women's Week in Canada's capital and our launch event, the F Factor, Fueling Women Founders. We're honored to join Rogers, Elspark, and Tees and welcome what will be more than 270 entrepreneurs, investors, thought leaders, and partners to our Innovation Hub tonight. A very special welcome to those across our regional, national, and global community that join us via webcast. Thank you for joining us here for a night of inspiration and actionable insight on a critical shared objectives to enable and accelerate the growth and success of women founders from every walk of life. Recent Boston Group research shows that increasing the number of women entrepreneurs would add between $41 billion and $81 billion to the Canadian economy. Moreover, increasing the number of minority entrepreneurs would have a similar effect. We believe that Canada's capital can lead the country and the world on this front. Our team is committed to driving progress on this imperative with all of you. We're proud to collaborate with so many members of our community on this important journey, including many of the champions and allies who join us here tonight. This includes the Ottawa entrepreneurs, startups, scale-ups, and companies that we are so proud to serve, many of whom have strong women innovators and leaders that join us tonight. Just to name a few: Ascent Compliance, MindBridge AI, Snap Clarity, Fellow, The Grocer, Advanced Symbolics, and so many others that are part of our programs and our community more broadly. It includes our board of directors, including here tonight Susan Richards, our co-chair, Jennifer Francis and Anita Baines, and a very special shout out to our friend and colleague, director of the board and chair of our subcommittee for female founders and women-owned business who joins us from Toronto, Shav Hasfal-McIntosh. We miss you. We wished you could be our co-MC this evening, but we know that you are with us in spirit. Thank you all for your contributions. To our mentors, partners, and investors, including the City of Ottawa, the Province of Ontario, the Government of Canada, including FedDev Ontario. Together, we have established a bold vision to be the best city in the world for women founders and business owners to launch and scale successful, sustainable companies. Companies that anchor and grow here in our thriving global business and technology hub, create a wealth of new jobs, greater wealth for all, and take on the world. This includes the creation of Ottawa's first $100 million women-led firm. It will take collaboration to realize this vision, and our community is founded on it. You will experience this tonight and many days ahead. It truly underpins International Women's Week. Over the next 8 days, we are coming together as a community to inspire, empower, and equip women in leadership in professional fields that span technology, entrepreneurship, innovation, investment, business, government, academia, and nonprofits. We're joining forces with women and men and 65 organizations from Ottawa across Eastern Ontario and hosting 30 integrated events that create new opportunity and impact for current and aspiring women leaders. Harnessing the power of our community to create a critical mass of support and establish a strong foundation of long-term collaboration. International Women's Week is not simply a week. It's a driver for long-term change and opportunity, and we call on all regions and countries to join us. It will take women and men working together to develop, attract, and retain more top women leaders from every walk of life, to create a region where even greater opportunity abounds. These are proven high-impact drivers for economic success and productivity, and this collective action will help more women to achieve their leadership potential, and it will increase our performance and competitiveness as a region, as a country, and as a world. And tonight, we're honored to welcome so many speakers, founders, funders, and thought leaders who are driving us forward and leading the way right here in our region and across Canada. So we thank you very much for being a part of this night. It is now an honor to introduce Bree Jamieson-Holloway, co-founder and CEO of Nurtured Life, an Indigenous entrepreneur we are so proud to support. Bree is Algonquin and Anishinaabe. A corporate lawyer by trade, she launched Nurtured Life, a women tech-led startup here in Ottawa in 2018, with the goal to make wellness accessible and available to everyone. This firm captured the Best Pitch and Crowd Favorite Awards at Invest Ottawa's inaugural Pre-Accelerator competition last December. She is also a very valued member of our Female Founders and Women-Owned Business Subcommittee of our board. Please join me in welcoming Bree to the podium.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We want to begin this evening by paying our respects to the Algonquin-Anishinaabe people who are the traditional guardians of this land. We acknowledge their long-standing relationship with this territory, which remains unsurrendered and unceded. We pay respects to all Indigenous people from this region and from all nations in Canada who call Ottawa home. We acknowledge and thank the traditional knowledge keepers, both young and old, and we honor their courageous leaders, past, present, and future. Nous rendons hommage au peuple algonquin-anishinaabe, gardienne traditionnelle de cette terre. Nous reconnaissons leur relation de longtemps avec ce territoire qui demeure non cédé et sans cession. Nous rendons hommage à tous les peuples autochtones qui habitent dans la région d'Ottawa ou d'ailleurs au Canada. Nous remercions les gardiennes des savoirs traditionnels, jeunes et âgés, et nous honorons aussi leurs dirigeants courageux d'hier, d'aujourd'hui et de demain. Merci.
And to open up our evening, it is my pleasure to call forward Susan Richards, our co-chair of the board and founder of Number Crunch, Michael Tremblay, our president and CEO here at Invest Ottawa and Bayview Yards, and Jill Earthy, strategic advisor, former head of female funders, and a dear friend of Invest Ottawa and our community, to the stage, who will bring opening remarks.
Welcome. Bonsoir. Thank you for joining us as we kick off the second annual International Women's Week. Let's applaud. We're here to celebrate. It really is a week of celebration, but I am going to introduce a somber thought, because the sobering global consensus is that despite some progress, real change has been agonizingly slow for the majority of women and girls in the world. Today, not a single country in the world can claim to have achieved gender equality. The World Economic Forum concluded in 2017 that under current circumstances, gender parity in incomes may only be achieved in 217 years. Here at home, despite the increasing rates of women launching new businesses, Stats Canada data also supports the dismal reality that gender parity in Canadian entrepreneurship is still 2 centuries away. Is this acceptable? No. Hell no. The theme for International Women's Day in 2020 is Each for Equal, which reminds everyone that it is up to each of us to create a gender equal world. You cannot lead from behind. That is what inspired us at Invest Ottawa to commit back in 2018 that we would demonstrate our leadership by making bold steps forward. We are committed to doing the tough things first to show they can be done. And you can also lead from behind. We also believe that sometimes it's better to lead from behind. And for that, we thank you and the many people who have joined us in building a strong community that is united by shared values and goals. We still have a very long way to go to realizing our vision. Achieving gender equity is about making a real change in women's lives. It involves a substantive shift, not only in the proportion of men and women under certain specific indicators, but in the deeper dimensions of social norms and a sense of identities, to be valued and respected, each of us, equally, regardless of gender. If gender equality is to be realized, work is needed to ensure that gender-sensitive policies are implemented and effective at enabling positive change for women's realities and their lives. Gender equality has several layers of complexity. It requires bold ambitions and the generous contributions of the community at large if we are to reach our goals. This is a journey. We are a collective of people who are learning as we go. We are leading as we learn. We will fail many times along the way, but we think with the support of our engaged community, we can really get there. So Michael Tremblay, CEO and leader here, do you want to take us through some of the journey we've had so far?
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm really thrilled for this week's activities that we have planned. And I want to take a few moments here just to kind of discuss our journey. So this is actually the finish of my 3rd year. This is like day 1 of year 4. So I'm working on it. the first year we spent really focused on putting together a strategy. And I'd have to say, we're pretty happy with the strategy we put together, but we had an area of our strat plan that really was lacking. So we had an objective that was set that was around talent development. And though it was inferred in there, it just wasn't pointed enough that we focused on diversity and inclusion just overall, but specifically focusing on gender issues. And so we really decided to go deep on that after the first year. We put a lot of effort into it. And I want to begin my comments really by acknowledging the work that Sonya has done in particular. So that we're all up on the stage here working on this. Sonya, you have been nothing short of a force in really propelling us these last 2 years. It's truly been amazing. So I want to thank you on behalf of all of us for the work that you do. So thank you for that. So when I think of the journey that we're on, if you look around the audience, it's like 95% women, right? Which is kind of part of the problem. I think that this has got to be something that becomes mainstream for all of us. When I took this job 3 years ago from Microsoft, I took it because I wanted to have impact on the city that I grew up in. And I was really, really excited about that journey, but I was thinking about my kids, right? I've got 2 daughters. One is an entrepreneur. She actually works with the Sheffer Chop Shop. She works on Shopify websites. She does the creative side of that. And my middle daughter is 18 years old, Shayla. Tonight she's studying for midterm exams at Carleton. She's in astrophysics. But it's not just about my 2 girls, it's about my son Declan as well. He's 14, he's a hockey player, he's kind, he's very thoughtful. And I want him to grow up in a world where the idea of fairness and equity is just something that happens, that it's not an event that we run through each year. So I think if we all have a goal here, the journey should really be around not having to have these events at all. That we're really just actioning things in the way that they should have been done all along. So what I want to do, I want to take you through a little bit of the strategy and the goals that we set for ourselves. And by the numbers, I want to share with you how we're doing, 3 years in. So to start with, part of it happens when you actually change your governance model, right? Like the first thing that was done, if you recognize you got a problem and you don't change how you're managing the problem, nothing will happen. So a year ago, almost to the day, we introduced a subcommittee of our board. These incredible people have been with us the whole way. We actually started the work the year before in more of an ad hoc group that was helping management figure it all out. And it was very clear that we had to establish a management group that had a subcommittee connected right to the board that had to be reported to the board. And can I ask the members that are here in the audience just to stand and be recognized? I mean, there's so many of you are here with us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. They've really worked tirelessly with us to make this all real. And so I think it starts with changing the governance model. So then if I go a bit deeper, we really established a few goals. Like first part was just to get the basics right. Like we spent quite a bit of time just making Bayview yards comfortable for women to want to come here and stay here and be here. Not an easy thing to do. We didn't realize how many blind spots we had as a leadership team. I think a lot has been done to try to rectify that. We are expanding Bayview yards. The expansion contemplates that at the build stage. So we're really trying to get that right. Measurable goals, you might be surprised, maybe you're not, but there really are no baseline metrics. We actually don't know fully how many women are in tech in Ottawa. We may have made assumptions. So this year, with the city's support, every 4 to 5 years, we do a full economic assessment of what's happening in the marketplace. And we're going to include counting and understanding what the demographics are of our knowledge sector in Ottawa for the first time. That will happen. We're going to launch the RFP later this year, and we'll get to work on that the 1st of 2021. So you'll see some real metrics. If you don't have metrics, if you don't measure it, you really, you may do lots of optics and basic things right, but you really won't know how you're performing on this. So setting out metrics are important to us, and you'll see that happening. And I happen to believe that if we do this right, over time, our region could be a place that women really want to come to actually build their businesses. So we could be thought leaders. I think if we do this correctly, a lot can change in our region, but it doesn't have to be limited here. We can inspire others to do bigger things. So I think we've set out some goals that I think are interesting. We laid out the strategy along these 4 lines. Now, if you look at each of the words, this week is all about all of those things. We have done a lot in the last year, like we've got a new website that I encourage you to go look at. There's a lot of resources available to anybody here in the room, men or women, to understand how to engage. But a lot of things are already happening. I said it at the start of my comments, it isn't good enough to have an event that makes these happen for a week and then nothing happens for another year. So a lot of what we've done with our team is to really ask our organization to get behind one of our big rock goals for this year, which is embed diversity and inclusion into everything we do, all of our programming, not just event-based. Let's make it mainstream. So this year is really the year of breaking out that way. It's a good place to start. We know we have a lot more to do. So let me go through and take you through some of the numbers. So firstly, Pre-Accelerator, we've got Aaron in front of me here, who leads our Pre-Accelerator program. Thank you, Aaron, for all your hard work. If you look at the numbers, 39% of the participants that go through Pre-Accelerator, and let me explain what a Pre-Accelerator is. Before we bring companies into getting full-on coaching and mentor work, we have a 10-week boot camp where individuals come through and they pay to be here, and they go through 10 weeks of rigorous work to get their businesses to a level that they'd be considered to go into the Pre-Accelerator. That's actually a very big deal. We've run 5 of these so far. In fact, Wednesday night we have our 5th Pitch Fest happening, and we've already done a call for our 6th cohort. So it's really come a long way. Usually 15 to 20 people go into these programs. And so 39% have self-identified as women that have entered. 8 of 10 of the pitch competition awards, and there's 2 categories, women won them. Companies that are run or co-founded by women won those awards. And 69%, so literally 11 of 16 companies in the Pitch Fest that we'll have Wednesday night here are led or co-led by women. That's a major change actually in our operations. We really didn't have this before. And frankly, we really didn't measure it before. So it's a significant change for our operations. And if I look at the companies in our IO Accelerator, I know we've got Heather, you'll be on stage a little bit later today, and your company was chosen as a finalist for the Chavez Capital, the global finalist for, I think it's in the UK, right, if I'm not mistaken, in June?
Yes.
Yeah, so representing Canada. So congratulations on that. We'll be watching closely in June. And we also have Wellbe that over the weekend won the SOGAL competition. 60 applicants. The first time a Canadian company's actually won it. So Wellbe walked away not only with the accolades, but a check for $25,000. That's not bad. Led by Elizabeth, who is just an amazing founder of Wellbe. So we have a lot of great companies in here today that we're very proud of, and we're doing everything we can to support them here. So we have a small business enterprise center. I really like these numbers as well. So what this is the front end of our business. Anybody that is interested in entrepreneurship all the way through to taking training. We've got a number of programs where we actually fund businesses to get off the ground. These are some pretty good numbers. So on the front end of our business, 27% self-identify as women. We had 6,600 people come through training here in this building last year. And more than half of them were women to be trained on things like, how to set up my governance model, how to protect my intellectual property, how to file my first tax return. So I think that's a really big deal. 2/3 identified in our Starter Company Plus program. We have roughly 30 companies that go through every year. They actually get funding, coaching, mentorship. 2/3 come through as women. And 70% that are tied to our digital transformation program pilot. This is where we actually help companies that are more Main Street companies, or they can be, where we're trying to help them to modernize the businesses. And the best example in the city of Ottawa is we have Shopify come in and help them to add an e-commerce channel to their business. And so 70% women founders that have actually taken advantage of that. So we have, I believe, like we've opened things up. We have a lot more engagement here at Bayview Yards. I'm very proud of that. And then the next one I'll talk to is funding for female founders. So Starter Company Plus program, we funded 19 women founders. That's a big deal, and that's 57% of all applicants that come through. And through Jennifer's support, where did Jennifer go? Jennifer's back here somewhere. There you go, Jennifer Francis on our board. We have 5 new women angels that have been added to our investment community. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for your leadership there. That's a big deal. And there's announcements this week. Do we know which day? Tomorrow. There's watch for a major announcement on this. It's a big deal to help support funding for women-led businesses. All right. So I should talk about our company a little bit as well. So I talked about the fact that we've changed a little bit of our composition on governance structure. We did achieve last year gender parity on our board, and I want to tell everybody here, no compromises. We've got a great board, men and women, and we're looking at our bylaws because I actually think that there should be a leeway either way a little bit so that we could actually have more women than men on our board. I want to make sure we pick the really great candidates, and the key is to ensure we have a great pipeline of candidates, and we're contemplating that all the way through. So I'm very proud of that. Almost 2/3 of our company are women. Our management team is split evenly, men and women, which I think is a big deal. And this last one is an extremely important shift in just 18 months. We used to have 10% of our coaches and mentors as women. Now almost half are women. That is a really big seismic shift. If we want to have an environment that is welcoming to women-led companies, we need to have a reasonable mix of coaches and mentors that are women as well. These are major changes in the last 18 months. We've really deliberately focused on these things. These are not event-based activities. We're making them systemic, and I think that that's the only way to make change. I think in a year from now, if we had even 20% of the audience as men, to get the word out there that we should all be feeling confident in actually participating and engaging to make this true as far and wide as we can, it takes both men and women to make that happen. So now I really do want to take this moment to thank Jill Earthy for all of her work in helping us with our diversity and inclusion guidelines. And she's going to take us through what she's learned and the direction that we're going in. So Jill, please come on up.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Sonya, for everything. It's an absolute honor to be here. And oh my goodness, did you feel that energy in the room when you all walked in? That was unbelievable. So there's obviously a keen interest to accelerate change here. But I first want to just take a moment to recognize and celebrate the progress made by Invest Ottawa and Bayview Yards, because I am not from here. I'm based in Vancouver. I have the privilege of spending a lot of time in Ottawa, but I also have the privilege of spending a lot of time across the country in different ecosystems. And Ottawa, you are leading the charge in this, and it's amazing. So I just really want to quickly applaud you all. I mean, truly, the leadership demonstrated by the team, the board, the subcommittees, and all of you, it's powerful. So the creation of the Gender Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee, which Michael mentioned, launched 12 months ago, and the development of the guidelines, which some of you, hopefully many of you, have read, that are available publicly on the website, which is also a testament to the leadership, has really shone a light on gender inequalities and created space for important dialogues. And it's not always easy, right? I think that's the key thing. It's going to be hard. Some of these conversations can be difficult. They can be sensitive, but that's okay, because that's how we're going to make progress and find a way forward. I'm not driving the bus here. Okay. So the stats that we just heard, including the percentage of women on the board, representing program participants, receiving funding, and making investments, are higher than the norm. So as I mentioned, you really are. And sometimes when you're in your own ecosystem and your own bubble, you don't recognize that. So I think it's so important to celebrate that. We know that only 2.8% of venture capital funding goes to women. That's a shift. Last year, some of you may have seen, it was 2.2%. That's North American wide. And that only 11% of seed funding capital goes to companies with women on a founding team. So it's truly wonderful to see women representing 57% of the total participants funded in the Starter Company Plus program. The other important initiative, and Jennifer and I have had lots of conversations over the last little while about increasing the number of female investors. This is an ecosystem, right? Everything is connected. The funding gap, the investing gap, the leadership gap, all contributes to the gender gap. But to see, only 17% of angel investors across Canada are women, 17%. So to see that 33% of the new investors coming into the Capital Angel Network are women is phenomenal. We're starting to see shifts. May not be the numbers, the actual numbers aren't big yet, but the impact is huge. Because by that, we will see different types of founders receive funding, different types of companies get funded. That is significant. So the numbers are shifting in the right direction. And I just want to take another quick moment to just really, let's applaud and cheers. Tonight is about celebrating. It's about moving things forward. So let's do that. So then the other thing is as mentioned, we're still in the early stages of this journey, right? It truly is a journey. It's a marathon towards change, towards a truly equitable ecosystem. So I've recently had the privilege of working with the subcommittee. I conducted a number of one-on-one conversations with committee members, with community members, with some of the team members to review the current gender diversity and inclusion guidelines to make sure that they continue to be relevant, to resonate, but most importantly, to make sure that we're progressing. These conversations combined with recent research, and there is a lot, you're probably all seeing that. Almost every day we're seeing new data, new research coming out with the importance of how diversity does drive innovation and success for all. So out of that, we really recognized that we didn't need to change too much in the existing guidelines. Partly because there's still a lot of work to do, and they form a really solid foundation. So we're going to continue to work on that. We also consciously are continuing to use the word gender diversity because we truly believe collectively that we have work to do in that area, but by virtue of that, we're going to see progress to move towards deeper diversity across all intersectionalities of broad range of gender, cultures, generations, everything, which is really important. But this document, these guidelines are going to remain as a living document, right? This is a continual evolution. So we need those that document to be live. But in addition, we also worked collectively to create some guiding principles. Those are in a draft format right now, and those are going to be used to inform decisions both internally, from the team, from the mentors, advisors, the partners, as well as externally, to really make sure that we're all continuing to be aware. Not everyone is aware of all of these challenges and where the numbers are, right? So we, as all of us in this room, have an opportunity to educate and continue to increase awareness. And we see these guiding principles as being able to do that. So you'll see more on that soon. But the power of this process and these conversations is really, and events like this, is really to shift that focus from gender diversity to diversity as a whole, as I mentioned, to inclusion. But the other common theme that I heard in all of my conversations is that shift to belonging, which is such another critical piece. Because it's one thing to create inclusive environments, and certainly Invest Ottawa and Bayview Yards is on their way to doing that, but it's inviting people to the table and then making sure that they feel like shift in this evolution, and it's incredibly powerful. So diversity drives innovation, and together we truly can accelerate progress to achieve an equitable future for all. So thank you very much, and have a great week.